Keep, bench, sell. Let's get straight into it. Starting off in a goalkeeper section, and this is a section that Tottenham are pretty strong in, so there's not going to be many surprises here. First of all, Guillermo Vicario, undoubted number one at the moment. We saw when he got injured last season just how much we miss him as well, how much of a leader he is from the back. Probably one of the biggest leaders in the group, to be honest. I'm definitely going to go with keep. Yes, he can be improved on certain things, but yeah, I'm not too fussed about Guillermo Vicario. Antonin Kinski obviously only came into the club in January, so he would have to be absolutely dire for us to be selling him already. What we've seen with his feet, he's very good with his feet. Yes, he can be improved in shot stopping. He's 21, 22 years old anyway, so I have no doubt that he's going to improve. We know goalkeepers get better in their sort of 30s anyway, so from what we've seen, I think there's a lot to improve on as well. And yeah, I'm definitely keeping him. Second choice goalkeeper as well, it's not too bad. Then we go down to Brandon Austin, someone who didn't get many minutes at all. I don't think he played any first team games until last season. Obviously came in on the back of the injury crisis, and Fraser Forster clearly couldn't cut it. Didn't really put a foot wrong, to be honest with him, and I think for a third choice goalkeeper you can't get much better than Brandon Austin anyway, so with Brandon Austin I'm going to keep as well. Moving on to defence, gonna start with Kevin Danso, another player that was brought in January. From what we've seen, looks like a very steady defender and can slot in. Obviously he's played left and right. Seems like a bit of a leader as well. Seems like he slotted in straight away. Definitely going to keep Kevin Danso. Radu Dragusin, obviously yes, currently out injured. Probably haven't seen the best of him under Ange, and I think that's more of a system issue. If you look back, his time at Romania at the Euros was absolutely outstanding for them, and the best games we've seen us play for Spurs is when we're sort of defending, so he's more of a defending defender, if that makes sense. He's not obviously the greatest on the ball, but if you just want someone 1v1 defending, great aerial ability, then Radu Dragusin is that person. And I think this could be a player that really improves under Thomas Frank as well, because we know that Thomas Frank's obviously not going to be as out and out attacking as Ange Postecoglou was. So there's probably going to be less times where Dragusin's going to be left exposed and we can really see the best of him. So I'm keeping Radu Dragusin. Destiny Udogie, what a baller. Don't even need to say too much. Great going forward, great going back. Absolutely unbelievable defender. Still very, very young as well. I don't even think he's 22 yet. I'm not 100% sure on that. Yeah, the best is yet to come of that player as well. Destiny Udogie is definitely staying for me. Cristian Romero. Now, this one's the issue because, yes, he's the best defender we have in the team. Obviously, leader, on form, Cristian Romero. No one in the team comes near him. World Cup winner, Copa America winner, Europa League winner. Of course, I would love to keep Cristian Romero, and I will put him in a keep section. However, I will add the caveat that if Romero comes back and he doesn't want to play for Spurs, I'm not going to force him to stay. So sort of depends on what the player wants. Of course, yes, if he wants to stay and give it a try under Thomas Frank, I will keep him, but we know Romero can easily lose his head as well. So if he's a player that wants to leave, we're going to have to sell him. So I'm going to put him in the keep section, but I will add the caveat that if he wants to go, then sell him. There is no point in trying to keep a player like that if he doesn't want to stay. Pedro Porro played the most minutes for Spurs last season. Never really gets injured as well, and that's a big problem we had last season. Pedro Porro, unbelievable going forward, yes. Been a bit exposed going backwards. But once again, I'm going to put that down to a system thing because Ange's team was just so high up that obviously, yes, Porro was caught out in a lot of positions, but it's because he wants Porro to Porro was basically playing as a number 10 in that system as well. So to be playing number 10 and getting all the way to right back, you can understand why there's gaps. So once again, as a player under Thomas Frank's system, I believe he's probably going to be a lot less exposed under Thomas Frank. So Pedro Porro, 100% keep for me. Jed Spence, a player that had an unbelievable season. Obviously from the half season when he came in, first game against Southampton, then just went from strength to strength. Started to drop off a bit towards the back end of the season, but I think that was more because he was in and out of the squad, and then he was sort of in the sort of bomb squad, if you like to call it. Obviously with Ange prioritising the Europa League, and that's when we really saw sort of Jed Spence started to decline. I'm definitely going to keep him as well. Got the pace, he's one of the quickest players in the team as well. Obviously I know Van der Ven always gets the plaudits, but Jed Spence, 24 years old as well, got so much potential about him as well, and obviously we know he can keep his head down as well, can score goals, can get assists, can defend really well as well. So Jed Spence is a player that I'm looking to keep. Ben Davis, very, very great servant to the club, top professional as well. We always hear about Ben Davis as one of the hardest trainers. We know he puts in 100%. A player, and these are players that are sort of rare to come by. He doesn't play every single minute of every single game, and he's still going to come, and if you give him 1 minute or 90 minutes, he's going to give you his 100% at all times, and that is something I really respect about Ben Davis. However, I think if we're looking to go to the next level, Ben Davis is not adequate enough. Obviously he's probably going to be pushed more out to the left back as well, and I just don't think he's not really got the pace to be a left back. In terms of centre back as well, he's not really got the physicality as well for it. So as much as he's a top professional, 10 years at the club, I'm going to sell Ben Davis. Ashley Phillips, young player. We actually haven't seen him play for Spurs as well, so this is another one that I'm going to make it's a bit of a hard decision, to be honest, because obviously he came in under Conte. There's no way Conte is really going to play any kids anyway. Yeah, he did come under Conte, I believe. Hasn't played at all for the first team, so we can't really judge him on the Tottenham minutes. He's gone out to teams like Plymouth and obviously Stoke last season. We know he had great level there at the Championship, but it's a bit alarming for me, to be honest, that he hasn't been given a chance yet in the Premier League team. But as I say, under Thomas Frank, yes, he's going to be playing in a different system as well, so he could be a lot more protected. Thomas Frank might see him as well. I know Ashley Phillips is absolutely huge as well, so I don't think physicality is going to be his issue. Obviously haven't seen pace-wise, we're not sure. So with Ashley Phillips, I'm going to bench him. And then we move on to Mickey van der Ven. Wow, what a player. What a top player. Yes, the one thing that does worry me about Mickey van der Ven is his hamstrings. However, I'm going to blame that again. I'm going to sound like a broken record with this, but I'm going to blame a lot of that on the system once again, because obviously we know that Ange played such a high line that every time Mickey van der Ven had to defend, he had to sprint pretty much 100%. So obviously that's not going to be great for his hamstrings. As I say, with the Thomas Frank team, I'm expecting us to sit a bit deeper than obviously we did under Ange, so obviously not going to be too much strain on his hamstrings. And yes, he's not going to be as exposed as much as well, because we know that Ange is all out attack as well, so it's basically leaving the centre backs on their own. Obviously with more protection, he may do less running, which means we can get the best out of Mickey van der Ven. Mickey van der Ven is 100% keep. Moving on to the midfielders, gonna start with Yves Bissouma. Yves, man, the first 10 games under Ange Postecoglou, he was absolutely outstanding, and I think obviously I'd love to see him get back to that level, but we just haven't seen it. Yes, I know his sort of back end run of last season was unbelievable. Obviously he started in the Europa League final and played unbelievably as well, but Bissouma, he's too hot and cold, to be honest with you. Obviously we know his disciplinary issues as well. Obviously got suspended by Spurs because he got caught doing laughing gas. He's meant to be one of the senior players as well, and he just doesn't really strike me as a real leader as well, when he really could be. unfortunately, as much as I love Biss and the vibes he brings, I'm going to have to sell him. James Maddison, unbelievable player. Best creative player we have in our squad. The only thing that worries me about James Maddison is he can't stay fit for a whole season. I just don't think his body can hack the figures of the Premier League and obviously Champions League, which we're going to be playing next season. Obviously you've got FA Cup and Carabao Cup on top of that. James Maddison, top player. Obviously, yes, I'm going to keep him, but as I say, it's the injuries that kill him. So I'm going to put him between the keep and the bench because I don't think he can't play every single game as well. So he's going to have to be in between. Then Archie Gray, young talent, obviously just turned 19 years old. Haven't seen the best of Archie Gray. We saw him in defence so much, obviously playing centre back. I don't think centre back is his best position. It's definitely not his best position anyway. Obviously we see him at right back and left back as well, but I really think that we need to start seeing him in midfield. We obviously signed him as a midfielder. Yes, of course I'm going to keep him as well because I can see the talent that he has, and obviously I believe there's levels that we want to see of him. But add him with a caveat, I'm going to probably bench Archie Gray because I don't think he's ready yet to be starting in the first team. But obviously you never know, he could have a good summer and come back. Lucas Bergvall had an outstanding season. His first season in the Premier League last season. Obviously started off a bit shaky. Took him a few months to adjust to the Premier League, which you would expect. But once he did adjust, he was outstanding. Probably the best midfielder in the whole team last season. Yep, I'm keeping Lucas Bergvall. We know he can play. It looks like he can play 6, he can play 8, he can play 10. So it'd be nice to see what position he's actually going to sort of settle in. But what a player, what a talent as well. I'm definitely keeping him. Dejan Kulusevski. Now, I've put Kulusevski in this midfield section because I believe midfield is probably the best section for him. Obviously, yes, we saw him in that number 10 position. He covers so much ground non-stop. He started to tail off towards the back end of the season, obviously then got injured again. I think he was just being overworked. He was one of the players that had to play every single game. Obviously, I say with the running figures he has, was just being flogged under the Ange system. But Dejan Kulusevski in midfield, I am keeping. Pat Matasar, he had a bit of an up and down season, to be honest. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. Obviously, yes, a young player, so you sort of expect that with young players. Benching Pat Matasar. Yeah, he's a player that's got to stay around as well. Obviously, he doesn't start every single game, but some of the attributes he has is outstanding. Rodrigo Bentancur, another player we saw had an up and down season. Obviously was in and out of the squad. We know with the suspension, obviously, over the racist remarks that he made. Just coming back from that, obviously we're starting to see the best of him again now, coming back from that ACL injury, about 2 years ago now. Obviously had a couple of niggling injuries on the way back, but Bentancur, real talented player. Another player that's sort of a leader, obviously one of the senior players in the squad. So I'm keeping Rodrigo Bentancur. And Alfie Devine. See, this is a tough one for Alfie. Obviously, we see a lot of him in pre-season and he always looks good. Obviously, we remember the game against Marine when he was 16 years old, I believe. Became the youngest scorer in the Tottenham squad, in Tottenham history, I believe. I still believe he is. I'm not 100% sure if that's been taken over by Mikey Moore. But Alfie Devine, yes, he's got the talent, but I think we really need to see something in pre-season now, or I think he could be getting sold, to be honest. Obviously, we know with PSR issues, homegrown, you could probably get a decent £5-10 million for Alfie Devine. So in that case, I'm probably gonna sell him, to be honest. Now we move on to the forwards, starting off with club captain Heung-min Son. It's a sad one to say, but we've got to be honest with ourselves. Yes, Son is not the player that he used to be, and I think a lot of us sort of obviously think back to the old Son, but we haven't really seen the old Son in a couple years. Yes, I know his first season under Ange, he scored quite a few goals, but let's not forget he did play up front for quite a bit of that. Yeah, he was missing way too much last season, and if you look at our best performance in the Europa League final, he was actually on the bench as well. So I'm going to put Son into two categories. So I'm going to put him on the bench, but obviously if he's not happy to, let's be honest, he might think he's still got enough to be playing, starting week in, week out, then I would sell him. But once again, I believe that's up to Son. But yeah, I just don't think he's enough to be starting for Tottenham week in, week out, especially in the Champions League. We know his body, he's got a lot of injuries now as well, and his body's not really coping with, as I said about Maddison, the vigours of the Premier League. So I'm putting him in two sections, either bench, obviously if he's not happy with the bench minutes, then I'm selling him. Richarlison, I love him so much, that's the problem, but we know with Richie, injuries kills him. Every time he plays for Spurs, he plays so well as well, but we just can't get enough out of him, to be honest. And you can't, there's no evidence since he's been at Spurs that you can rely on him to stay fit for a whole season. So given that reason, I'm selling Richarlison. Matthias Tell only came in January. Another player I don't think we've seen the best out of. Obviously hard coming into a struggling team. Obviously he wasn't fully fit when he came into the squad, wasn't playing much at Bayern Munich. So young player, saw him at the Euros as well, looked unbelievable. I think we've got a real talent there as well, and I'd like to really see where he can push on to. So I'm going to keep Matthias Tell. Yang Ming-hook, another player we haven't seen too much of, to be honest. I think he's taken a long while to sort of adapt to English football. Obviously, yes, we saw him go out on loan to QPR. He played a few games for them. Obviously, he wasn't really ripping up trees over there. I'm not going to put him in the sell section. I want to put him in a loan section because I want to see what he can do. Obviously, he was the K-League player of the young player of the year. So obviously, he's obviously got talent there, but I want to see him out on loan again. He's not getting anywhere in the Spurs squad. There's no point in putting him on the bench as well, because you need him to play games in English football just to see how he adapts. So I'm going to loan him out. I know we ain't got a section for that, but I'm going to loan him just to see what he can get. But he's really pushing towards the sell side. But let's hope he can get some good minutes and see what happens. Dom Solanke, obviously Tottenham's record signing. Didn't score too many goals last season, but I like his work rate. He's so selfless as well. Obviously, he's not really selfish as a striker. I think that's what sort of killed him last season. He would always look for the pass rather than sometimes take it on. And obviously, having Harry Kane, a lot of fans compare him to Harry Kane, which is so harsh because there's not many strikers in the world at levels of Harry Kane. And I think that's what killed Solanke, the fact that everyone looks at Harry Kane as his comparison. But I really think under Thomas Frank, we know Thomas Frank loves to get crosses into the box as well, and that's something we didn't really do under Ange. Obviously, they're always low crosses, but if you remember, he scored a few goals, crosses into the box, and he's very good with his head as well. So I think Solanke is going to go on next season. I think Solanke is going to get over 20 goals, definitely. In the Premier League, you know, I'm going to say in the Premier League, I think Dom Solanke can get 20 goals in the Prem under the system. And I think this could be a real breakout season for him. He could be in that England squad for the World Cup. I'm keeping Dom Solanke. Brennan Johnson, a player that gets quite disrespected, to be honest. Bearing in mind he was the top scorer for us last season. Obviously scored the goal that broke the Ducks, the trophy drought. It's interesting where he's going to be playing, because I think as a winger he's not really the greatest, because he doesn't like to go past players. I don't really know why, because he's got blister and pace, but obviously he's got an eye for a goal, and that's something we cannot doubt. As they say, it's the hardest thing to do in football is to score goals, and Brennan Johnson done that in bag loads last season. So for that reason, I'm keeping Brennan Johnson, but I might put him on the bench. I don't know, he's staying around the squad anyway, so we'll put him in that half section of keep/bench. But once again, another player that I'm excited to see what Thomas Frank's going to do with. Obviously, we know Thomas Frank tried so hard to sign him for Brentford, so obviously sees a talent in there, and hopefully he can take other parts of his game to a next level. But in terms of goal scoring, I've got no doubts he can do that. Manor Solomon, a player we haven't seen too much of it in a Spurs shirt. I think back to the game, obviously in his first season against Burnley, did he get a hat-trick of assists? So he played quite well, to be honest. Looks alright. Yes, was on loan at Leeds last season, was outstanding, but that is championship level. So I'm not really sure, to be honest, about Manor Solomon. I'm probably selling him, to be honest, though, because after the outstanding season at Leeds, obviously we got him as a free transfer as well, so we can make some decent profit there. I think it's an area of the pitch we need to upgrade anyway, so yeah, Manor Solomon I'm going to sell. Wilson Odobert was really unfortunate with injuries last season. Missed a big chunk of the season. We saw the talent that he's got as well. I think he's 21. Got bags of talent. His dribbling ability is very good, but he's still very raw. But as another player, I think we can get so much more out of. I'm keeping Wilson Odobert from the minute. I'm probably benching him as well, but that's not to say he can't not get into the starting lineup, because he's very talented. Alejo Veliz just hasn't happened for him, to be honest, since he's come to Spurs. Yes, obviously scored a Premier League goal against Brighton, but yeah, it's just he's not really up to the level. I don't believe. Obviously, he's got the physicality. He's a massive lump, but yeah, it's just quite alarming for me as well that he's been on a couple loan spells, Espanyol, and I can't even remember the other team he was at, but didn't really play too many minutes there. I think the first loan spell he had was absolutely awful, and the second one, yes, he played a few more minutes, but didn't really get into the team. So that, once again, I'm selling Alejo Veliz. Dane Scarlett, it's a weird one for Dane, because since we've known about Dane for so long. Obviously made his debut under Jose at just 16 years old, and we hear so many managers talking about how talented he is. I think this is a real big summer for Dane Scarlett as well, because he's either gonna have to push on, or he's gonna have to be sold. I'm keeping Dane Scarlett, obviously benching him. I don't think he's great enough to start, but could be very good backup for Dom Solanke, but also could go the other way. So for the minute, I'm keeping and benching Dane Scarlett, but once again, yeah, that's a one to watch, because I think if this season he doesn't really start to kick on, the Premier League is very brutal. Obviously at his loan spells, he played a few more games last season, but obviously at Oxford scored a few goals as well. So yeah, it could be a player that needs a loan, but yeah, I say we give Dane Scarlett one more season to see what he's about, and then obviously then come through. And finally, Brian Gill. He's such a talented player, to be honest with him, but he's so small. He just doesn't have the physicality for the Premier League at all. Every time he goes on loan to Spain, he absolutely rips it. So he does show he's a talented player, but yeah, as I said, his physicality. I remember him saying that he's been trying to put on weight as well, and he still looks tiny. So yeah, I just don't think we're going to be able to see the best level of Brian Hill in the Premier League. But it would not surprise me if he goes to Spain and becomes a very top player over there. I'm selling Brian Hill. And yeah, I think that's it. But you guys, let me know in the comments what you think about these players, who you're keeping, who you're benching, who you're selling, any players go out on loan, any players that I've said that I'm selling, keeping, or loaning that you wouldn't. Let me know in the comments down below, and we'll be back for plenty more videos. Peace and love.